Not our usual hunting video this time, but stick around if you want to see us pull a scope off my current rifle and put a new one on. That's pretty much the gist of it. And then we're going to bore sight it, zero it, and range back. Should take about 10 minutes on video. It'll take a day in real life. Currently got a Burris Ballistiplex 3x9x40 on it, and I'm going to upgrade the scope. Reason being, I want to push some more distance. I'm currently shooting out 250, 300, and it's not as consistent as I'd like, and I'm sort of trying to blame it on the optics. So with that said, this is what I'm upgrading to. There we go. It is the Vortex Diamondback Tactical, and it's a 4x16x44. By all reviews and everything online, it seems pretty good. Downside is it doesn't have zero stops on the turrets, but I'm not really a dial sort of guy anyway. I'm all about the holdovers, and it's got a real good EBR reticle, which gives you lots of detail and lots of information to apply through a holdover. So also it's in Milrad, big fan of Milrad. If you haven't already picked that up, Milrad works in millimeters and centimeters, which is what we are taught here in New Zealand. Didn't learn yards, inches, the imperial system, so it's pretty hard for me to come around, and then you throw a minute of angle, the whole angle side of things in itself, yeah, not a fan. So millimeters, centimeters is what we work in, so that's what I want my scope in. Yeah, gonna swap the scopes over, take them out, and get it done.
Sweet, well that's not going to fall off, but we can still manoeuvre it to set the eye relief. So what do you think you need, Josh?
It's honestly looking pretty good, and all you're looking for is that you can get the full circle and it's not getting any black spots or anything. You've got a nice clear full circle in your scope, which I have. Happy with that there.
You know, when you're trying to level the scope to the rifles, you need to get the rifle dead level, because there's no point sitting a spirit bubble on that and trying to level it if we don't even know if the rifle's level, because we'll get the scope sitting plumb up and down, but the rifle might be canted. So if you've got two flat surfaces, like you've got the top of the barrel or the working parts here, and then the base of the scope is flat, so you've got two flat surfaces, so you're basically just trying to get that sitting flat with the rifle. So inserting coins or washers or anything under there as tight as you can will help get the scope sitting flat to the rifle basically.
Remember Loctite, you want to jam a bit of that in.
So what are we doing here, Muzz?
Yeah, so I'm just doing my final bit of eye relief. Obviously we set it initially just by getting behind and moving the scope within the rings, and now we're just using this little eye relief cup on the back just for our final adjustment. So I'm looking through, we've got a clear white background, set the reticle up on it, and then as I adjust this I'll find a point where it's the most crisp, where my reticle's the most crisp. Then I'm opening and closing my eye, so I don't give my eye too much time to focus on the reticle. Just as I open it, it should be nice, crisp. I can read all the numbering on it, and we'll be good to go. Right, so before we go any further, we've set ourselves up, and the first stage that we need to do is the bore sight. Common misconception that you need a little laser bullet to do this. You don't. All you need is to set your rifle up, nice firm base, line up your bore with an object, preferably a corner of something, a fence post, corner of a house, whatever you're using, about 100 meters away, doesn't need to be exact. Once you've got your bore all lined up, then you can dial on your scope and line your scope up with what you're looking through on your bore, and that's your general bore sight. That'll get you ballpark. When you're ready. of the dot.
Yeah, I'll just maybe do 2 rounds unless you have the shot feel.
Not perfect.
Okay, yeah, do a 3-round group. How's your parallax?
Good, it's on a handy.
Oh, yeah. Repeat.
Bore sights. First group.
So now we're going to calibrate the muzzle velocity of Muzz's rifle with his new scope. So I've built Muzz's gun into the Kestrel. It's just got an applied ballistics computer built into it, so it does your environmentals as well. Again, I won't go too much into this, you can find that stuff out online, but it has a function on here that allows us to calibrate muzzle velocity, which essentially I go into the ballistic computer of Muzz's rifle that I built, and then it gives me a range of where the 308 caliber goes into transonic. So you have 3 basic stages of flight. You have supersonic, which is the first stage of flight. Then it transitions into subsonic, but that transition period is called transonic. So the Kestrel gives us the range at which it goes transonic. We want to come back into supersonic by 10 to 15%. And then it'll basically, the applied ballistics computer will tell us the elevation hold for that range. We will basically dial that into the scope and shoot it, and that is all based off the muzzle velocity that we've input to the Kestrel, which we got from the packet. Their range is 524. I've got no wind on, so you see their wind is none. However, it's given us a hold of 0.8 left, which will be to account for a bit of spin drift. Again, we won't talk about spin drift, but it's a thing. And an elevation hold of 4.52, so we'll call it 4.5 mils. Right, so there's our target. Unfortunately I shot it, so Muzz doesn't have the best target to aim for. But we're only worried about elevation, and this deflection we don't care about. It's just muzzle velocity.
Confirm my hold, mate.
Hold is 4.5 mils high, 0.8 left.
On.
Send it. Hit. Perfect.
That's mean. Yeah, pretty happy with that. It's been a while since I've done the long range stuff, so I was a little bit rusty, but Yax has dialed me in to calibrate our muzzle velocity at 520 metres with the 308, and Boomfa nailed it. Kestrel gave us the right calls, and yeah, got a good hit. Okay, I shot a piece of steel at 520. All that's done is confirmed that my muzzle velocity and my other data that I've put into the ballistic calculator is correct, and I can run with it. Perfect. For us mere mortals that don't own a Kestrel, we can just get an app on your phone. I'm running Applied Ballistics. It costs a bit of cash. If I remember, I had it back when I used to do a fair bit of shooting. Haven't turned it on for a while, but luckily it was still there, and with all that data it's given me a range card. So I've built my rifle, built my load, and put them together, and it gives me a range card which looks like that. And so I'm pretty much taking the data out to 600 on that. My next step with that is to go out and shoot that data. Don't just grab your range card and think you're good to go and then start flinging bullets across valleys at tar or animals on the other side of the ranges. Go out and shoot some paper, shoot some steel first, and confirm that data. Get it all sorted, and then that way we won't have a whole heap of wounded animals just roaming around. Cool. We brushed over a few things. Spin drift, we'll come back to that. I'll do a little pictorial. And Yax wanted to cover the big 3 in future videos. And the big 3 is cant, parallax, and flinch. Yeah, so we'll talk about those in depth. Those are the big 3 reasons why long range shooters aren't hitting when they should be. Yeah, and it's just little things that can often be overlooked. So yeah, if that interests you at all, make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell, and you'll get a notification for when I throw a video up. Once again, cheers for watching. Stay safe out there in the raw, and hopefully I don't see you on the hill and I just see your pictures on Instagram. Sweet as, catch ya.